information there. For our next presentation, we're going to be going over our student health and wellness presentation. This is also known as our student health and counseling services along with Title IX. So when it comes to our precautions and guidelines for the university, when it comes to sexual violence and student wellness, the Student Health and Counseling Center is the building that all of our students go to as far as resources. Does anyone know where the Student Health and Counseling building is on campus? Thinking. Where was that? In front of the school, right. So as you're coming up to the University Student Union, right to its left, if you're coming up from the Quad or UVA, you'll find the Student Health and Counseling building. It's not that hard to spot, so again, if you had any of those questions or where to go, they always take walk-ins as far as if they have any questions for students. But yes, we will be moving into our next presentation. So please join me in welcoming, we have Kathy Nguyen from the Student Health and Wellness Center, and she's going to be going over our presentation for student health and counseling. So please join me in welcoming Kathy.
Thank you so much. Give a wonderful applause to Christian. Thank you. How are y'all doing so far? Good. Wonderful. I love the energy. This is awesome. All right. Well, welcome. Good morning. My name is Kathy Nguyen. I am a health educator. I work over at Student Health and Counseling Services, which is across from the Student Union next to the parking structure. I also have my colleague who's coming. Her name is Krista Wenzel, and she is our sexual violence advocate and educator. And we are both going to be coming in today to talk, like what Christian said, about Title IX, sexual violence, wellness, and basically talking about prevention of sexual assault on campuses. So first off, I'd like to kind of, give a disclosure really quick. We know that there might be some of you that are impacted by this, whether it's directly impact, like you are a survivor of any type of sexual violence, including stalking, sexual harassment, dating violence, sexual assault, rape, or vicariously, someone that you care about, concerned with a friend, has gone through this experience. Some of the information that we will be presenting today can be a little bit triggering, meaning that it might bring up some feelings, that you as a survivor might have. Our goal and intention is not to bring up those feelings. However, we understand that this information is really important to talk about. So we want to make sure that you do some self-care for yourself. The information can be really challenging. So if you need to look at your phone, look away, you need to step out, we want to make sure that you do take care of yourself, okay? And here's my colleague.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Kathy. Just got my morning spare workout. Yeah, whew. All right, so yes, as Kathy said, we're going to be talking about some topics for people. So we're also going to start with a Kahoot It. So if you can pull out your cell phones. And if you're unable to do this, like due to your data plan or anything like that, please don't worry about it. But we want you to go to Kahoot It. Yeah, turn both those off, Kathy. Yep. So Kahoot.it, and then it's going to give you a game pin, and if you'll just put your first and last name initials. So the game pin is 451091. So first and last name initials. And there aren't going to be, this is all going to be confidential. We're not going to look at who scores what. So Kahoot.it. Four, 451091. Please only use your first and last name initials. We'll give it a couple more seconds. Even if we begin, you'll still be allowed to join in. And we do this Kahoot It with each of our groups, just to get a feel for who we have in the audience, as well as to kind of get some data for what our incoming students have experienced and knowledge.
Okay, so I think most of you have already entered. So let's go ahead and get started with this quick survey. Okay. It's not a race, okay? All right, so we got 4 questions for you.
So our first question is, are you or do you know someone who is a survivor of sexual assault or rape? And yes or no. So if you yourself or someone you know, sexual assault or rape. Yes or no. All right, so about half and half. Typically, our yeses are about 2/3, half to 2/3. So this is pretty common. Like we know that 1 in 5 women, up to 1 in 16 men, will experience sexual assault or rape at some point in their lives, and that this is really something that affects people directly or indirectly. So our stats are kind of on par with that. So have you or someone you know experienced dating or domestic violence? So this could include emotional abuse, physical abuse, psychological abuse, controlling money, controlling somebody's phone, having to know where somebody is at all times. All right, so it looks like, about 2/3 or so have experienced dating or domestic violence or know someone who has. And again, this is right on par with data we have that 2/3 of college students have experienced intimate partner violence. So this is definitely something that I offer services to students with. Have you or someone you know experienced sexual harassment and or stalking? So via Facebook, any other apps, or physically being followed. When you've set a boundary and said, don't bother me, and somebody's continued to either show up or have communication. All right, again, so about 2/3 say yes to this, which again is on par. And we'll go over a little bit more statistics in a little bit too. Thank you all so much. Our last one, have you ever intervened when you have seen something sexually unsafe happening? So maybe there's somebody unconscious or really drunk that's being taken advantage of. Maybe you can tell that somebody's being forced or they're really uncomfortable with whatever's happening. Anything like that. Or again, back to the dating violence, somebody being called names or anything like that. If you've ever intervened. So no and yes. So and again, this is common. It doesn't mean that people are bad people because they've never intervened. It just means that intervening is not as simple as it sounds. So Kathy will talk a little bit about what barriers might be to intervening, but that's really common. Thank you all for participating.
All right. Okay, so let's talk about what is sexual violence. So sexual violence is any type of sexual contact without that person's consent, okay? Maybe grabbing someone's butt, following their breasts, grabbing their intimate parts of the body parts that without consent. It is never the fault of the victim or survivor, so we want to make sure that we make that very clear, okay? And also sexual harassment, stalking, dating, domestic violence, sexual assault, that all constitutes on the spectrum of sexual violence. Now, earlier we talked about statistics, and I know that Chris had talked a little bit about it, but here's a little bit more. We do realize that almost violence within the LGBTQ community is extremely high and sometimes is underreported. Transgender students are at the highest risk for sexual violence. Stalking usually occurs on average about 18 months when a person is being stalked. And less than 2% of reported rape cases have been proven false. And more people fake their own death every year than lie about being raped. So we know that this is obviously an issue. And we are bringing it up to you because now as students on our campus, we want to make sure that we're keeping each other safe and that we care for each other. We want to practice compassion, empathy, and step up when we need to.
So just to make sure we're all kind of paying attention, and again, that intervening when we see something, I'm not going to be the first person that somebody usually talks to or discloses to. That's going to be you all. That's going to be your friend, somebody you're in class with, a roommate, a family member even. So not that we expect you to be like trained and advocate responders, but to at least recognize that, you know, there definitely are impacts of sexual violence. In my role, my job is to really make sure that students still have access to their education. So they're getting support, and we're acknowledging the impacts of trauma, but also that they're getting that support to still be academically successful. So if you see someone, you know, who maybe is having a hard time getting to class, once they come to class, maybe they're stepping out or just seeming really disconnected to what's happening. Perhaps the way they dress has changed, they're sleeping, they're eating. All of this is going to come back to affect their ability to get to school. So if if there's somebody who's really outgoing, really talkative, really open, and you see something change dramatically, hopefully you feel comfortable enough to just check in with that person and be aware that anything could be happening in their life, and then helping them get to the proper resources. So then also impacts on a perpetrator. Again, we really want to make sure that you all are informed of what, you know, healthy relationships are versus not healthy. We're going to make sure you know about affirmative consent so that we're all practicing that. So some impacts on a perpetrator: suspended or expelled from school, possibly jail or prison, treatment, and then on a permanent record. So this could definitely impact somebody's ability to get a job at some times if you have this on your record. So we definitely want to make sure that no one is a perpetrator here.
So in order to practice not being a perpetrator, we all want to make sure that we all understand what consent is, right? And consent means what? Permission, yeah. How do you know you have permission, though? You have to ask, because sex should feel what? Good, yeah. You want to have good sex, not bad sex, right? Good, awesome, great sex, okay?
Yeah.
And how do you get that? With consent, okay? And consent has to be verbal and voluntary, okay? So whether you are practicing, consensual sex right now, that's awesome. If you're not, then you should need to begin. And whether you are engaging in sex or not, I'm not trying to say you all should go out and have sex. That's obviously a personal decision. However, if you're going to engage in intimacy with someone else, whether same sex, opposite sex, whether you're practicing oral sex, vaginal sex, or even anal sex with one person or more, okay, y'all have to agree on the same thing, right? So verbal, no one's telling you, coercing you, telling you that you need to have give you consent through coercion. So it has to be voluntary. It has to be verbal. Yes, I love it when you touch me there. Ooh, that feels good. Give it to me more. I love that. Harder, whatever. Okay, you're giving that consent. Okay. If you're not sure if consent is given, ask again. Is it okay if I touch you here? Do you like it when I do this? Do you want me to continue? Okay? If that person is silent, they're not giving you a response, stop what you're doing. Because they could either A, be a survivor of sexual violence and they're being triggered, or they're scared, or maybe this is not what they want and they're trying to send that message. So we want to make sure that we understand that silence does not equal consent and that consent can be revoked at any time, even in the middle of the sex act. So we're going to have Lacey Green talk about consent in more detail. No, we're having video issues again. Okay, hang in there. I don't know what's wrong. And it was happening earlier.
Ignore her face. Ignore her face.
Even if we pull up YouTube, do you think it'll still do it? Okay.
Take two.
Yeah,
that's better.
Deliciously hot to me, and with the person I like, and there's a little bit of sexual tension.
okay.
And then we lean over and we're like, "Can I kiss you?" I don't make that sound. Usually. Why is it so sexy? Because they asked for consent if it was okay, which shows one that they respect me, and two that they got some basic sexual communication down. Hot. But consent isn't just hot. It's
All right. Thank you, Lacey Green, for that. So now that we all understand, oh, thank you, somebody, Calvin. Thank you. Woo! All right. So now we're going to move on to the interactive part of our presentation. We're going to need some volunteers. All right, come on down. So we got 1, 2, 3. Come, we need 10, 4,
Awesome.
5,
Come on down.
6,
Yep.
7, 8.
All right. You all are
Anybody
awesome.
else? 9, 10. Thank you. Come on up. We'll just have you line up right here, right in front, facing your peers. You're going to be given cards, and we're going to learn how to ask for consent together, and then ask, and then how to respond. Okay? So, here you go. Don't flip it over. So just leave it in front. Okay? Here you go. Okay, so I'm gonna have you face each other, you face each other, you face each other, you face each other, you face each other. Okay, so we're not gonna look at their sexual orientation. We're gonna listen to what they're saying. Okay, so in your most sexy voice,
Bump, chicka, bump, bump.
how are you going to ask for consent, and how are you gonna respond? Okay, so here we go.
I'd really like to kiss you. What do you think about that?
I'd love for you to kiss me.
Aww, so sweet.
Is this all right for you?
This is moving a bit fast. Let's just chill.
Putting on the boundaries.
Do you want to 69?
I'm not really into that. How about you go down on me?
All right. What you will and won't do.
I love making out with you. How about we get naked?
What would you like me to do to you?
Woo! So sweet. You even asked.
A lot of safety there.
Do you like it when I do this to you?
Yes, I love it when you touch me there.
All right, we're gonna have you flip.
Nice. Round 2.
So round 2, now you get to ask, and then she gets to respond, okay?
Okay. So it's our third date. Do you think I'll score tonight?
No, I want to wait until we know each other better.
All right. Fair enough.
You're very sexy, but I'm gonna keep my clothes on.
Oh. Mine's what?
Oh, we mixed up. Hold on. Sorry.
There we go.
Take 2.
I love making out with you. How about we get naked?
You're very sexy, but I'm keeping my clothes on.
Is it okay if I take my shirt off?
I'm not going to sleep with you, so stop trying to get my clothes off.
Girl, you're looking snatched tonight. You think I could hit that?
If you got a condom, I'm good to go.
Yeah. Safer
Let's go
sex.
upstairs to your room and play.
I'm too messed up right now. I just want to go to sleep. I'll text you later.
Awesome. Give them a round of
Yay.
applause.
Well
We got
done.
a little prize for you right here at the end. All right. So Christian's going to hand out these little prizes for you. Thank you so much for volunteering. Okay. And there'll be more opportunities to volunteer right after this. Okay. So hopefully you can kind of hear that and kind of be like, okay, I think I can ask some of those questions, or I think I know how to respond. And if you've never done it before, just get in front of the mirror, put your sexy game face on and, start practicing. Because then it'll flow a little bit easier and make it less awkward, okay? All right. So let's talk about bystander intervention like Chris had talked about earlier. We all have the power to prevent something. And I'm sure in your lifetime, you might have seen something that you wish you did something or said something, okay? We want to keep our campus community safe, so we're going to rely on you and empower you to step up and intervene when it's safe for you to do so. So you got to watch, speak up, and intervene, because little actions do make a big difference, okay? Whether it's just standing there looking at the person, okay, knowing and telling them that I'm watching you and I see what's going on, or grabbing someone to help, okay? But what matters most is that if you be an upstander, that's how we can all prevent any type of violence that happens within our community. So there are 5 little easy steps that you want to think about in order to be successful. First off, you got to notice the event. Where are you at? Are you at a party? What's going on? People are having a good time, or people not having a good time? And then if you see something, do you interpret it as a problem? People arguing, people shoving each other. Someone is bumping, grinding against another person when the person got their hands out. Is that okay? Not okay. You have to interpret it. Obviously, if you interpret it as a problem, I hope that you will then assume personal responsibility. I'm not hoping that someone else will step in. It's up to you, okay? You can't assume that someone's going to step in. That's called being a bystander, not an active upstander. So we want you to step in, know how to help. Okay, there's 3 easy ways to help and implement the help and step up. So 3 easy ways that you can do that is either using distraction method, interrupt and separate, or directly ask and intervene. I know it's sometimes really difficult to do some of these things. So we got some scenarios that we're going to show you that are really simple and easy that does not aggravate or escalate the situation. So we're going to ask for some more volunteers. We need 7 volunteers. 3 needs to be male identified. So we're going to go through scenarios.
So 7 people. Come on down. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the back, and 5, 6. One more.
We need
Did you
3
up
to
your
be
hand?
male
Okay, 7.
identified. Okay. Okay.
All right, Kathy's gonna prep them. So if y'all want to meet over in that area, and then I'm gonna keep it going until they're ready. So we just want to make sure that you're aware that there are apps for support and safety. Some of these apps can, track where you're walking if you're afraid at night. They'll call to check in to make sure you got there. Circle of 6 is an app where you can already upload friends and locations, where you can activate that really quickly. I think Be Safe, you can make a fake call. So if you're on a date and you're like, I'm not really sure how this is going to go, you can make it so your phone says like your mom or dad are calling and it's a fake call just to give you an excuse to like peace out if you need to. So there's a lot of these opportunities if you check. And then I definitely want to make sure that you all, like I said, you'll probably be the first person that somebody discloses to. So there are 3 reporting options. One is confidential people. So I'm a confidential person on campus. Almost everybody else is not, meaning that if you disclose a report to a teacher or a counseling advisor, those people have to report to the university because now the university has responsibility to make sure our campus is safe. So the confidential people, I'm one of those people. There's off-campus resources. There's also the police, and then the university Title IX process. So if somebody discloses to you and they're like, I'm not even sure what happened, I don't even know what I want to do, get them to a confidential person so they can be informed of the options and then make whatever decision that they want to make to move forward. And are you ready?
We are ready.
Okay.
So we're going to do our first scenario. So I'm going to have my first team come out. All right, awesome.
People.
Okay.
Volunteers.
All right, and you 2 ladies also who are in the scene. Okay, so you're together right here. And you ladies can stand right there if you want. Okay, so the scene here is basically like you're at a house party per se, right? And maybe someone's trying to hit on you. So after the scenario ends, I want you to kind of think about what kind of bystander intervention are we talking about? Are we talking distraction, separate, and interrupt and separate, or direct intervention? Okay, so here's a mic.
Hey, how you feeling there? Oh, yeah? Well, maybe we should get you somewhere to chill out a bit. How about we go to my room to dance so no one can see how much I suck?
Hey, where are you going? We've been looking all over for you.
What just happened? Come on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so which scenario intervention do you think that was? Thank you all. You can have a seat. Distraction and also what? Interrupt and separate. Okay, so even though they didn't know them, they're like, hey, we pretend we're looking for you. Come on, girl, let's go. Okay, easy, simple. Okay, our guys. You're at a party, you're observing people, you're drinking a little bit, you're having a good time.
Hey, that girl's so hot. Did you see her twerk?
Yeah, I've been trying to talk to her all night, and I got nowhere. You don't have a chance, man.
Whatever. You see how messed up she is? I bet I can get a few more shots in her. I could totally tap that.
I'll bet you $20 you can't get her clothes off, even after 3 shots.
Bro, you serious? That's messed up. Getting a girl wasted so she can blow your whistle is weak. That's not cool, not to mention illegal, man.
What are you, the police? What's illegal about a guy making a girl's fantasies come true?
You're a bad ring man. What's wrong with hooking up?
Didn't you learn in class yesterday that drunk sex is non-consensual sex and that is considered sexual assault? You can go to jail, bro.
Okay, you're legit. How about we forget about the bet and get some pizza? I'm hungry.
Fine, let's go, cock blockers.
You'll thank me later.
Thank you. You guys did awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, what kind of intervention was that? Direct intervention, yeah. So sometimes if you are hearing things like that, there are sexes that can lead to sexual violence within your own friends, like speak up, okay? Make sure that you put them right.
Awesome. Thank you all to our volunteers. So I'm going to pick up with the reporting options. We talked about confidential police and then Title IX through the university. So Title IX essentially is federal legislation saying that a university has responsibility to prohibit, intervene, and respond to any kind of sexual discrimination, which then equals sexual violence, which then takes the form of sexual misconduct. So even if students don't want to report to the police, they can report to the university and go through a Title IX investigation. Obviously, nobody's going to go to jail or anything like that. They could be expelled, suspended, probation. They could be found not responsible. So this is definitely an option for people that don't want to go to the police. And then this is our Title IX webpage if you ever have a friend that you're supporting and you can help guide them to this. This is about my information. In your handbooks on page 44 and 45, you can see more about that. But I've helped students with all of these things. We've gone to court, filed restraining orders, gone through Title IX processes, and then referred and all that stuff. So having a survivor-inclusive supportive community. So one thing is definitely assume a survivor is present, right? We saw through our survey, at least half the people here either identify as survivors or know of a survivor. And probably after this presentation, maybe you've thought more about it and realized, yeah, actually I do know somebody or I've heard of somebody. This is just something that affects all of us, that we can all do something about. And then here's some other tips, making sure we learn about myths and let's see, like any kind of dispelling of sexual violence myths. So one thing is, maybe survivors are always female, right? So that's not true. A survivor can be female or male, as well as a perpetrator.
Okay. Now I'm going to talk about student health and counseling services. In your bag, thank you. There is a brochure that has information about us, so you can pull that out and look at it later. But this is what our building looks like, and it's important for you to know that because you might walk through it. We want to make sure that you do realize that you have access to it. It's free because you already paid for it as part of your tuition. So every semester, as an enrolled student, you have access to see a nurse, a doctor, a nurse practitioner, a counselor, all for free. The only thing you pay out of pocket is any labs that has to be done, any medication, which is at cost for students, as well as cost to see a psychiatrist on staff. So these are some of the services that we provide, anything from STI, birth control, physical exams, counseling, pharmacy, advocacy. If you are a survivor of sexual violence, we will provide you with a free STI testing or sexually transmitted infection testing and morning after pill or ECP for survivors of sexual assault. So you do need to let us know if that's the case, okay? There is 2 important immunizations that you need to submit verification for, and you need to do this by Halloween, and that is for the MMR as well as for the hepatitis B. This is really important because you're able to register today. You just won't be able to register for the next semester, which is the spring semester, until this is taken care of, okay? So just make sure that you get those verification in via email, fax, or bring it in by hand. We don't need an original copy, just a photocopy is fine, okay? If you have any questions, call us. Another thing is that in August, we will send an email to your CSUSM Cougars account about an online program. You will have to do register for the program and do it online for. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour and a half for both, for each. I'm sorry. It's both for alcohol and online sexual violence training. So this needs to be completed before the first day of school. Okay. If you have any questions, let us know. Everything is kept confidential, so we don't release any information without your written consent. We're only here Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:45, so anything after hours is going to be the urgent care ER. All right, now we're going to show you a brief video about how it's all on us to prevent sexual violence.
There are just some things you don't plan for, but together we can put an end to sexual assault. It's time to assume responsibility and take action as a bystander. I pledge to recognize non-consensual sex is sexual assault. To recognize when a friend or a stranger is in danger. I pledge to identify situations in which sexual assault may occur. I pledge to create an environment in which sexual assault is unacceptable and where we can support our friends, our coworkers, our sisters, our brothers, our classmates, our survivors. It starts with you. Take the pledge today. It's on us. It's on us. It's on us.
It's all on us on CSUSM, and we want to thank you for your time and for your participation today. We hope that we were able to kind of go overview these 5 points here. If you have any questions, please feel free to talk to myself or Krista. We're always looking for student volunteers through our office. So if you have a passion in health and wellness or on this topic, let us know. And with that, welcome to the campus community. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so the next part of our orientation, we're going to go into our small group meetings. So if you look down on your name tag at the very bottom, you're going to see a group name, and you're going to be meeting with that group. So right about now, I'm going to be going over the small group names that you're going to be escorted with. So you want to gather your items, and I'm going to be directing you from the doors. So when you turn around, that's the side I'm talking about. So this is our left, this is our right. So exiting out of the left door first, if you have STEM Center on your name tag, you will be with Alex. STEM Center with Alex over here on the left side. Exiting on the right, if you have residential education, you're going to be with Annalise. Again, residential education with Annalise. Back to the left side over here, if you have COBA, you're going to be with Andre. Again, if you have COBA, you're going to be with Andre. Back to the right, if you have Chavez Steps to Success, you're going to be with Becky. Again, Chavez Steps to Success on the right. Going back to the left, if you have Leadership Opportunities, you will be with Corey. And his says Corey on his board. All right, going back to the right, if your name tag has Leave Your Mark, you're going to be with Elisa. Again, Leave Your Mark, you're going to be with Elisa. Back to the left, if you have Cougar Cares, you will be with Emery. Cougar Cares on the left side of the room. If you look down and you see Chicken Farm, you will be with Eric. Again, Chicken Farm. On the right side of the building, we have Chicken Farm. Going to the left, we have Hype Team. If you have Hype Team on your name tag, you will be with Jeannie. Hype Team. Back to the right. If you have Food Court, you will be with Isaac. Food Court. Alrighty. Going to the left, we have Innovative Cougars going with Karina. If you have Innovative Cougars, you will be with Karina. If you have Career Counseling Center, you will be with Laura. Career Counseling Center, you are with Laura. Back to the left, if you are with Traveling Tukes, you will be with Laura. There it is, Traveling Tukes with Laura. If you are with Tukwut Life, you will be with Melissa on the right side. Tukwut Life. On the left, if you have Cougar Chronicle, you will be with V. On the left, if you have Cougar Chronicle, you will be with V. And on the right, we have the Clark Fieldhouse. If you're with the Clark Fieldhouse, you'll be going with Richie. On the right, Clark Fieldhouse. Alrighty. If you have Kellogg Library on the left, you will be with Riley. Kellogg Library on the left. On the right, if you have Student Life and Leadership, you will be with Sonia. On the right, Student Life and Leadership. If you have Campus Housing, you will be with Taylor. On the left, Campus Housing, you will be with Taylor. And on the right, if you have CSUSM Empire, you will be with Tweety. And if there's anyone else who didn't get their small group, come see me. Sweet, there's no one. Oh, there we are.